My mom challenged me to make a meal out of 5 random ingredients. First, I chose parsley, and then I chose pita bread. After that, I chose barbecue sauce, and then I chose chives, and lastly, I chose ground beef. I think I have an idea. I started by de-stemming my parsley and cutting up my chives. I toasted 1 pita bread and I blended it to make pita breadcrumbs. And then I used my hands to mix together the ground beef, breadcrumbs, chives, parsley, and barbecue sauce. I used gloves for this part because I am touching raw meat and it does get messy. I browned my meatballs and added some barbecue sauce, and voila!
Oh my gosh, that is so good!
Marshmallow's trying my marshmallow dessert, and after he loved it, he challenged me to make a meal out of 5 random ingredients. First, he chose pecans, then he chose wild cards, so I went with brown sugar, and then he picked French toast, so I picked some frozen toast. He picked pear, and lastly, he chose honeydew melon. So here's what I did. I toasted my French toast, and while it was toasting, I cut up my pear. After my French toast was toasted, I cut up my honeydew melon and I put it in the food processor to make juice. Then I made a brown sugar glaze with my honeydew melon juice, and I added up my chopped up pears and some pecans. I made sure the pears and pecans were evenly coated with the brown sugar syrup, and I put it on top of my French toast.
Oh my god.
It was amazing. I just had to do the Cassie dance. Thanks, Marshmallow. I am challenging myself to make a meal out of 5 random ingredients. For my first ingredient, I chose yams, so I went with a sweet potato. Then I chose broth, so I went with a vegetable broth. After that, I chose crab. I really don't like fish or seafood, so this will be interesting. And then I picked tuna, so now I have to make a meal with crab and tuna. And lastly, I chose rosemary.
Not sure how to cut rosemary. Oh no. I don't think you're supposed to eat like the branch in the center. I'm going to do 4 half cups.
So, fire alarm has been going off repetitively. Like, it went off like 6 times. Let's take a look at our soup. Oh no. That's bad. Well, that would explain the fire alarm going off. I'm not that bad of a chef.
That ruined everything.
Today we're making a dessert out of 5 random ingredients. Let's head to the store. For my first ingredient, I chose chocolate spread, so I went with the easy option, Nutella. And next, I chose mayonnaise, so I'm already a little bit thrown off. My next ingredient was sugar, so I went with a powdered sugar. Now for my next ingredient, I chose walnuts, and walnuts aren't really something they sell at Target, so I had to get a jar of mixed nuts that had walnuts in it. And for my final ingredient, I chose cookies. But here's the catch. We're not using just any store-bought cookie. We are baking my favorite homemade chocolate chip cookies. So let's get started. Now that I have all my walnuts separated, I think what I'm going to do is make a walnut mill. That's enough water. And we're just gonna let that sit for 4 hours. I'm gonna take my chocolate spread. Here I have an ice cube tray. I'm going to fill my ice cube tray with Nutella. All right, I'm gonna put this in the freezer. Here are our soaked walnuts. Eek! Oh no! It is definitely leaking. There is a crack! I'm gonna pour through the mesh strainer and the cheesecloth, and then we're literally milking this like you would a cow. Here it is. Okay, so now it's time to make my absolute favorite homemade cookies. Here's our little frozen Nutella piece. I'm gonna put that right here in the center, and then we're gonna close up the ball of cookie dough around it, just like that. Now it's time to put these in the oven. So now it's time to work with the glaze. We're gonna start by sifting 2 cups of powdered sugar. We're gonna be putting 2 tablespoons of walnut milk. Yep, so it's forming a glaze already. This is great. But it's a little bit too thick and pasty right now, so we're gonna add in a little bit more. This is a glaze for sure. So I've added in that mayonnaise. You know, it's not bad. All right, the time has finally come to dip our lava cookies. So we're just gonna do half. All right, so now we must wait for the glaze to harden. Ew, I'm not a oh. Moment of truth. All right, here we go, bite time. That's not bad. I kind of dig that though. Dude, wow. I have to make a dessert out of papayas and cheese. Let's do it. I started by zesting a lime and de-seeding my papaya. Once I had removed all of the seeds, I sliced up my papaya and I removed the skin. Next, I mushed up my papaya chunks in a food processor and I added them to a bowl with mascarpone cheese, lime juice, and lime zest. Next, I added in 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar at a time and mixed with a hand mixer. The taste of the papaya was too strong for my liking, so I added in a little bit more powdered sugar. I spooned my mixture into a graham cracker crust and wasn't quite sure I liked it that much.
Cassie, you only gave it half a dance and you're eating the whole pie.
I don't know why I can't stop eating it. It's just good.
Give it the real dance.
I don't know. When you lose, I'm thinking that you won, but you did not. My mom challenged me to make a meal out of 5 random ingredients. First, I chose coffee. Then I picked chocolate spread. I chose cookies. And then I chose sugar. Lastly, I chose water. I think I've got this. I started by making cookie dough balls and putting them in the oven. I added 2 scoops of coffee, sugar, and water to a bowl and mixed on high until light and fluffy. So strong. When my cookies were golden brown and still warm, I pressed a shot glass into them to make them into cookie cups. Then I painted melted chocolate on their insides and I filled them with my whipped coffee. Time for the taste test.
Wow, so strong.
You took all the whipped cream out. Cassie.
Cookie's good.